What's up, Chatbot builders? Today, I want to talk about our favorite topic, which is clients. After all, they are the ones that are paying us money in order to build chatbots and provide these AI services to their business. But more specifically, I want to go over, some nurturing timelines and the back and forth that is involved in a lot of these discussions, because I think it is really easy for people to be led astray, especially as, content creators put out things like make $10,000 a month in 3 days and, things of that nature. So I want to spend some time talking about my own experiences out in the real world, just to kind of paint a picture of some of the things that you might run into as you are talking to these businesses and offering services back and forth. So let's get into it. Okay, assuming you are a chatbot builder, there's a good chance that you're a freelancer like I am, or you're running an agency. And as part of that, that's kind of naturally baked in. You're like the rabbit, right? You're the hare, and you're fast. You're a fast move. You're flexible, and that's because nobody is, really telling you what to do. You don't have a lot of processes and rules to follow. And if a business is like, hey, can you build this for me in 14 days or 25 days? Most of the time you say yes, right? And you're ready to roll. You're like, let's do this. Let's get this contract signed. Like, let's get paid and let's get into it. And you kind of are always ready to keep pushing, right? Especially as an agency. I want to scale. I want to scale the moon. We got to keep going. Need to grow. So you are fast as a chatbot builder. But as you know, organizations and businesses aren't really the same way, right? And as businesses kind of become larger and are more sophisticated and have higher employee counts, they get more revenue, they add additional layers of decision makers. The speed at which they execute and make decisions becomes much slower, right? They become more like the turtle. And that's good, right? Because they don't want to move too quickly and veer off of a cliff. But at the same time, they definitely want to make sure that they cross their T's and dot the I's. And in the world of chatbots, you add layers of sophistication potentially on their backends and their different workflows and the ways that your solutions might interact with the day-to-day business and core services that they provide. So these conversations, even though that you are, fast and say, let's go, oftentimes I have found that the businesses are going to kind of sit back and come up with their own, particular timelines that work for their own organizations. And I want to show you some actual kind of back and forth timelines that I've had with clients. So if we go to this first one, okay, this is a manufacturing company that I've been working with this year. And back kind of middle of May, early May, we had a discovery call, and the client reached out to me, said, hey, Connor, I've got this idea. I want you to build this chatbot, and I've got all of these products. I want you to prove to me that you can talk to a few products, a very low amount, 12, okay, even though we have thousands. So in June, I built them a very low cost MVP, right? Because it didn't take me that much time to put together because it was only 12 products, right? So I showed it to them and I made videos and walked through everything that I did and how it works, the reasons for the decisions that I made. And I sent it all over to them. Said, hey, let me know. Because it was obvious that there was, a version 2 or a phase 2 or, okay, this proof of concept is validated. Let's start integrating these assistants and chatbots for all of my products into my business to help me be more efficient. But what happened after I delivered it? Did they turn around and say, next week, okay, Connor, let's do this. Well, let's start. Hold on, my phone's ringing. That's all right. So, no, right? It was crickets, and nothing happened for, a couple months, right? And even though, of course, I sent out emails like, hey, how are you doing? How are things going? It wasn't time for them. They weren't ready because they were busy doing other things and other priorities in the business. So it didn't happen until almost late August that they sent out an email. Okay, Connor, we're ready to talk about next steps. And as a result of that, I've just started working for them as a monthly retainer, right? Because they have continued services that they're going to need built out going into the future. So now I'm making, good money and working with this client. But if you look at the overall timeline, kind of from start to finish, May to early September, I didn't make a lot of money. I made hardly any money at all off of this client. But I fostered, and sowed the seeds and established a good working relationship that over the months, they were comfortable bringing me on and having me build out these services. But as you can see, that took a decent amount of time, right? And there's a good amount of chunk here in between June and late August where I had thoughts going on in my head like, right, maybe they don't want to use me for the next part. Maybe I showed them so much that they decided that they're just going to do it themselves with their own development team, which is perfectly fine, right? I want to work with clients that find me a valuable part of the process, right? Anybody that I work with always has the option to go build it out and do it themselves, okay? I am simply a store of value and potential information that businesses can pay me for. But the whole point being, this stuff takes time. So that's one example of a client. Now, what was I doing in between all of this? It's not like I just sat around and waited for this company to respond to me, because you remember, I'm the rabbit and I can pivot and I can do multiple things. So I started up other conversations with other businesses. Here is another timeline. Discovery call early June. This particular client wants a version 1 of a chatbot. They're actually an agency. So they're going to go show the results of the chatbot that I build to their particular client, white labeling my work. So I deliver this in July. And then I just got an email from them this past week. Hey, Connor, client loves the chatbot. Initial test going well. They want to talk about putting this into full production, adding additional features. Love to talk to you about how you fit into that particular process going forward. So this is just a call scheduled. This isn't even like me actually working on phase 2. But once again, June to something scheduled in October that, let's be honest, we might not have any action on this until November, December timeline. And yes, I got paid a little bit more money here for version 1 of Chatbot compared to the low-cost MVP. But once again, it's not like I'm hammering a big monthly amount from this particular client. Where's my monthly revenue from both of these timelines? 0, small amount, 0, 0, 0. Okay, now I've got a nice little monthly bump. 0, okay, July I get a nice little boost. 0, 0, 0. Okay, maybe we'll see what happens with this phase 2, right? But I say all this and show you all this to remind you that this particular game, it's stacking these timelines and client relationships on top of each other. And how many of these seeds can I plant and nourish and water and provide value to over and over again, so that I can build up to a consistent workload at a price point that I want, right? That's it. That's the entire game. And as far as how do I get these clients? How do I start these relationships? You have to put yourself out there in some way, shape, or form and have these conversations. There's no magic bullet here. It's not cold email works or ads or YouTube or LinkedIn. Like, all of it works. You just have to execute. You have to do something. And you have to stack as many of these relationships on top of each other as you can until you get the result that you want. Because you can imagine if this timeline had an additional 3 or 4 or 5 timelines, which is what my current client caseload looks like, even though I showed you 2 here, I can now sit here and tell you I'm getting a nice, consistent workload with a couple of clients on monthly retainers, a couple of new projects starting, a couple of projects ending, and I will just continue to cycle through back and forth, continuing to expand the web of opportunity that I drive based on my actions on a day-to-day basis. And I believe that you, as a chatbot builder or an AI integrator or an automation executioner, that's probably not a term that's going to take off. Either way, the point is, this all takes time. These contracts take time. These businesses need time to learn about what's going on, to understand your solutions, to come up with additional ideas and feature sets of these chatbots and assistants and automations, and how they can be integrated into their own business and their own solution. So the only practical thing from my mind, and which is my strategy, is to just continue to be a source of value in those conversations with as many businesses and individuals as I can. That's it. There's no need to overthink this. But if you have illusions of grandeur in your head about you making money in month 1, you might be in for a little bit of a rough time, because how long did it take me to get to this point where I'm now stacking consistent clients on top of each other and having multiple projects at once? The answer is it took me almost a year. We're coming up on 1 year. My first YouTube video came out November 1. Okay, so we're maybe 6 weeks away from that here. So it's taken me a long time to get to this point. And I can say, yes, I'm making good money right now, but averaged out over the year, much less impressive, especially that month in February, right? Where I made like $900 or $600, right? So it's definitely a scrap and a grind to get there. But I know that you can do it by continuing to take actions of building things and talking to businesses with as much frequency as you can. Anyways, I'd love to hear maybe some of your experiences and the results of your discussions with clients and back and forth, and how long did it take? Because I think it's a helpful conversation for other freelancers and agencies to realize. These relationships, these projects, these deliverables, it all takes time, okay? So have patience. Talk to you guys soon.